and recording. That's exciting. So again, that's also why we ask that you keep your mics off. And welcome, new individual. We just started recording. So if you don't mind keeping your mic off and also turn your camera off, just because of Zoom platform, all that good stuff. I know it's impersonal, but that's technology for you. So again, being recorded, and let's see, is that all my good stuff? Yes, it is. And with that, I'm going to ask the campus ambassadors to introduce themselves. They're going to give their name, major, hometown, and their year at UWS. So go ahead.
Okay, so since I'm the oldest, I guess I get permission to start. So my name is Kendra Schmidt. I am from International Falls, Minnesota. If you don't know where that is, Canada is about 5 minutes that way. So yeah, I just finished my second year of a 3-year program at UWS since I finished my associates in high school. So I was able to work my way around and get 3 years, and I'm a music performance major.
Hello, I'm Alexi, full name Alexia, last name Secco. I am from Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, which is 5 hours from Superior. It's closer to Madison, as Wisconsin capital. I'm a junior this coming year. I am majoring in elementary education with minors in special education and history.
Hi everybody, my name is Danica Stegel. I'm originally from Ripon, Wisconsin. It's about half an hour south of Oshkosh, if you know where that is. Otherwise, it's about 45 minutes from Beaver Dam. It's about 5.5 to 6 hours from Superior. I am one of the crazy students here at UW Superior. I am a triple major in biology, environmental science, and writing. Jordan, you're muted.
Yep. Thank you. Yep. Okay. Anyways, so we'll do that. Couple of things that came up first, questions that were asked repeatedly that I just wanted to get out of the way right now. First off, will we be on campus, online, or what for this fall? I know it's on all of our minds. It's like we literally are still talking about it to this day. So we still don't have the exact answer yet. And when I say we, I mean me and Emily. Our administration is still working on this. So once we know, we as in me and Emily and the other counselors, we will let you know, I promise. The goal is to have an answer by July at the latest, and that's because being up in the Duluth Superior area, it's not as densely populated as a lot of the larger cities, so we can be taking this a little bit more into consideration of being on campus or online, possibly also a hybrid model. So that's where we are right now. And that's kind of, we'll keep you updated. So we did have a question come up that follows along with this. If it ends up online, will we be able to drop out for a year? And so I think the better term there would be to move out your admission. So take like a gap year. Yes, that is an option. And we actually have a gap year package that you could do with us. So you're still our student and you're paying a reduced tuition of some of the courses that you would be able to do, or you can just take the time off. We can take your admission for fall 2020 and move that to fall 2021. Or spring 2021 if you wish, if things change then too. And so if you do decide like it's online, I want nothing to do with it, this is about you, you need to do what's best for you. Just reach out to your admission counselor and let them know what you're thinking, and we will help you with what that process is. But yes, that option is there, and also that gap year option could be an option too. Then another question that came up was, I'm admitted, what are my next steps? Placement testing, how do I register for classes? So this year's a little bit different in regards to placement testing because of our situation. Placement testing is being waived technically. However, for English placement, so being placed into your English courses, we have always used the ACT score. So just submit your ACT scores and you're fine with that, which most of you probably already did. So easy peasy. And then in regards to math placement, we our placement testing staff members, they worked with our math department actually, and they created this rubric basically based on your GPA and the math courses that you've taken in high school to place you in your math course for fall. Now, if you don't agree with that placement, again, that's something you can work with your advisor and or admissions counselor to then take the math placement test, which it will be available as an online option after, was it June or July, Emily? I already forgot that part.
June 1st.
June 1st. Okay, so but if you like, yeah, so we're utilizing your information for math placement as well. So that's, again, something if you're confused on, after this, you can talk to your admissions counselor too. But then pretty much your next steps are to attend your summer orientation and registration, which is going to be virtual. So that's going to be 2 parts. Yeah, it's going to be virtual throughout the whole summer now, but first part is going to be like this, Zoom with your cameras off probably because bandwidth, and you're going to hear from many different areas on campus what it's like to be a Yellow Jacket your first year, and then you will set up a one-on-one advising appointment with your academic advisor to register for your classes. So that's how you'll go about all that good stuff. Question came through about the placement. If we submitted our ACTs during admissions, do we need to resubmit for English placement? Nope, we have it, we're good. I only said that part because with all of this, we did go technically test optional for new students that are coming in for fall 2021, since a lot of them couldn't go and get their ACT. So that's one thing that we're just trying to be helpful with. So. And good. Okay, so those were all of the ones that I wanted to cover. So now we're going to dive into housing, and I think this is your category, Emily, isn't it?
Yep. So housing. So all the questions in this section will be based on that. First question, what is it like to live on campus?
I can start. So I'm actually an RA. I just finished my first year as an RA working in the freshman residence halls. Living on campus is a really great way to just kind of meet new people, because in the Curran McNeil freshman residence hall, which is also connected to Ostrander residence hall, which is the other freshman residence hall, there are what we call living communities. And for me, I was an RA in the creative arts living community. So a lot of art majors, music majors, or just people that were generally interested in art or music, theater, were kind of grouped together, and you kind of met people that were of the like mind as you. But living on campus is really great. It's easy to get to your classes really fast. It only takes about 5 minutes to walk across campus, honestly. So I really liked living on campus, and I'm really happy I'm going to be an RA again. So I might be in the freshman residence halls, and I might be your RA. Who knows?
Perfect. So the next question is, apart from the main checklist, is there anything that you would recommend or want to know before living in the dorms?
Yeah, I could go.
Like, this is Lexi's question, but she's not answering. One thing that I'm pretty sure isn't on the checklist is making sure to bring hot pads. Because when you're cooking in the microwave or with the oven or anything, it's super easy to forget to bring those. There's been several times, especially last year, when my roommates and we baked something in the oven and realized, oh, we don't actually have hot pads to take this out with. Even if it's just in the microwave, it can get really hot. Or if you're just sitting on a chair in front of a TV, you don't want to burn yourself. So that's something that's, I'm pretty sure, not on the checklist, but I would recommend bringing, even if it's just like a small one.
There is a lot of, like, your first year, you thought, be like, oh, I need this, 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 and this. You don't really need to bring much. The res halls, they're small. but you get used to living in them. I know for me, for clothes, you don't need to bring a lot of clothes unless you're a fashionista. You can, but my second year, I figured out I don't need this much clothes. Knock it down. A lot of us do our laundry when we live in the res halls. We do our laundry every week, so you're just re-washing your same clothes.
Yeah,
A good rule
usually.
oh, sorry, go ahead, Kendra.
Okay. Yeah, usually if you think you're not going to need it, you're probably not going to need it. I know I see a lot of my residents, like over spring break or winter break, they're taking boxes home because they say, I don't need this, so I'm just going to bring it back home. So always just think, do I absolutely need this in my room? If you think I'm never going to use it, don't bring it. Just makes moving a lot easier when it comes time for move in or move out.
Especially like this year, a lot of us we had our spring break, and then we got we had spring break for 2 weeks. Then we got emails saying you have to move out of the res halls because we're not going back because of the happening that's happening around us. Plus, me and Danica live 5 hours away. We're from Lower Wisconsin. We had to drive back up, pack our cars like a sardine, like everything was in there. And it's like, oh, I'm coming back. No, we're not coming back. So I left a lot of my stuff back up north. So like, just limit your stuff that you bring up. You may, like what Kendra said, you may not need it up here. There's a lot of, we have in Superior, we have a lot of stuff that you can go to Walmart, and Duluth is right across the bridge. So if you have a car or you have friends who drive, you can go right over the bridge and get it.
Even if you or your friends don't have a car, there is the Duluth Transit Authority if we do go back on campus. And we as students get free busing through there with our student IDs, so we can easily get over to Duluth that way too. A good rule of thumb, if you're questioning how much stuff you're bringing up in, is if it doesn't fit in your car, don't bring it. Because remember, all of this stuff has to go back with you at the end of the year, or it gets thrown away. Because otherwise you're making a bunch of extra trips to come back up, to get it, to go right back down, to come back up, get more, to go back down. So it just, if it doesn't fit in your car, think about how much you're bringing up.
Okay, next question. So do you need to bring your own laundry detergent, and how much does it cost to do your laundry on campus?
Danica, go.
So you will need your own laundry detergent. That is not provided by the school or by campus. And as of right now, all laundry in the residence hall is free. It used to be coin operated, but they replaced the coin operated machines in Kern, McNeil, and Ostrander. So now everything's free. So all you need is laundry detergent and softener, if you use softener. But you will need to bring that yourself. And if you don't have space in your car, there is a Walmart in Superior.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a 5-minute drive from campus.
Something that I actually found very helpful, because laundry detergent is very heavy, and when you're carrying your laundry, it can be a ways to the laundry room. Definitely think about maybe getting like Tide Pods or like laundry pods or whatever, because you can just like take 2 and it's a lot lighter. I don't know. That's just something I always thought of. So might save you some weight.
And if you do use Tide Pods, please put them in the washing machine. Do not stick them in the little drawer that we have, which is only used for detergent. It destroys the washing machines. And with the current McNeil and Hogs, they just got new ones this past year, so we don't want those broken.
All right, next question. Do you prefer living on or off campus?
I can say all 3 of us have lived on campus. I enjoy it because it's cheaper than living off campus. Because once you live off campus, a lot of us are friends with upperclassmen who do live in the area. It's a lot more expensive. It is expensive living in a res hall too, but it's a lot cheaper compared to living off campus.
Yeah.
Part of the reason Oh, go ahead, Kendra.
Sorry. Yeah, for me, I mean, I'm an RA, so it's obviously saving me a lot of money with the job that I have. But also when you factor in like transportation, because for me, I don't really leave campus that often, but I do have my car with me because I go home sometimes. But if you are on campus, you can easily just walk to wherever you need to go for classes, or if you're going to the YU to eat, then you're probably going to be saving yourself a lot of money in gas and transportation costs as well. So, of course, you are required to live on campus your first year, unless you live in Superior with your parents or Duluth, somewhere nearby, you will be living on campus. So, but living on campus is, all three of us have lived on campus and it's pretty nice. So,
With living in the res halls, you don't have to worry about utilities. So electricity, water, all of that's included with the price. It's all unlimited to the students. So you don't have to worry about having to pay extra every month for that or anything like that. If you were to live off campus, that is something you would have to worry about, which is what makes it more expensive.
Which meal plan do you like best?
Danica.
Sorry, if you two want to take questions, just like override me, go for it. Just
I think
talk
we all
over
have
me.
the same meal plan.
Um,
Tell you the truth.
Yeah, so there's two main meal plans. There's the black and gold and the unlimited. And the black and gold is the one that most students use because you get $250 in Jacket Cash and 135 meal swipes, but the CAF is buffet style. So once you're in, you could stay in there all day and get 3+ meals. You could get as many plates as you want to. The unlimited plan gives you about $50 in Jacket Cash, I think, if I have that number right, but
Yeah.
unlimited access to the CAF, which is great if you're an athlete or if you're somebody who's constantly in and out snacking, because otherwise you'll use up the meal swipes on your black and gold plan just like that. But unless you're a super snacky person and don't really sit down and eat set meals all the time, I would recommend the black and gold plan. Jacket Cash is applicable to Caribou, our coffee house on campus, our grill, which is kind of our version of McDonald's, only better, and then Sono, it's our version of Chipotle. So you don't have to pay actual money if you have Jacket Cash at those 3 locations. But with the unlimited, you only get $50 in Jacket Cash.
and with the black and gold plan, Jacket Cash and meal swipes are transferable. So if you're like me and you need coffee every single morning and then you get another cup of coffee in the afternoon, you can transfer your meal swipes to Jacket Cash or vice versa. But yeah, definitely the unlimited. I'm seeing a lot more athletes using that. But for people like us that are just not athletes, we're just using the black and gold plan and it works perfectly. And a lot of the times you'll end up with excess Jacket Cash at the end of the semester and you can buy like a box of 25 bags of M&Ms if you want. I've definitely done that. So
Yeah. And if there's something in our Jacket Cash store that we have set up at the end of each semester, but you don't want to buy something for yourself, you can donate something too. So you can buy like a case of water and set that on our donate pile it too. So that way it's not just disappearing. Jacket Cash doesn't transfer to the next semester. At the end of the semester, it's done, it's gone, it's completely resetting again. So we really recommend that you use it when you have it, because you paid for it. So why not use it all?
And if you don't have, like, you have $2 left or $3, couple of cents, our lovely lunch lady, Kathy, always will take it for donations to the Superior, my brain went blank, I'm sorry, Superior, I can't think of the word.
food shelf.
Is it the food pantry?
Yes, yeah, the food pantry. You take the money, thank you. She'll take that and buy stuff for the food pantry, which doesn't get wasted if you have like $3 or $2 left.
So going off meal plans, are there kitchens that students can use in their residence hall?
Yes. For Kern McNeil, Ostrander, and Crown Heart, there's one kitchen per hall in the basement. And for Ross and Hawks, there are kitchens on every floor. And Ross, Hawks, and Crown Heart are our upperclassmen residence halls that you can stay in after your first year on campus.
Do you guys have any preference to residence halls? Do you have a favorite?
I've only been in Kern McNeil on the same floor for 2 years, so I'm kind of biased of living in Kern
Oh.
McNeil.
So for the first year, you're in, sorry. You're in our freshman dorm, so there are older buildings on campus, but that's where you'll live your first year on campus. But then after that, me and Danica had lived in upperclassmen dorms. We lived in Hawks, and they're more updated. They're nice. Each floor has their own washing room, their kitchen. They have separate bathrooms. They're nicer, but there is about like a 10-minute, 15-minute walk to campus. So if you're not a walker, maybe you don't want to live there, you can live in the other Town Heart building because it's nice. We walked. I was wasteful driving gas for about 2 minutes in my car. So we walked unless it was raining or it was snowing, but it's a place to live in.
I think it depends per person too, because if you tend to cook your own meals all the time, rather than having, an actual meal plan after your freshman year, because after your freshman year, you don't have to have a meal plan. So if you cook for yourself all the time, Ross Hawks might be a little bit better because there's more kitchens available for you. And it's just easier to access versus just having the one community kitchen in the basement. But if you don't like walks and if you're not hugely fond of cooking for yourself all the time, I do feel that living in Kern McNeil, Ostrander, Crown Heart would be the better fit. Ross Hawks is also more expensive than the other residence halls, and that's because it is updated. It does have more facilities available to students, but I think it's a give and take based off of each person individually and what you do on your daily schedule.
It still depends on your class schedule. Like I lived in this past school year, I lived in Hawks, but my schedule, I woke up, I was in class, and I was on campus for most of the day, so I really didn't go back into the res halls until late at night. So it depends on what you're doing with your classes and what you're in and if you have a job.
Perfect. So last question in housing. What size are the beds and what size curtain do you need for the closets?
All of the beds are twin size. You can ask for a twin extra long bed if you need it. And then for the closets, they're not that big. So if you want a curtain, I would say maybe 2.5 to 3 feet in width.
Yeah, that sounds about right. They're not that wide.
That's not bad seeing your clothes every day.
You get used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you're super picky or super private, it's typically not a problem.
It's easy to get to in the morning. It's like I'm not a morning person, so waking up in the morning is just no. I want to get put on clothes and get out the door.
Perfect. So I think that about wraps up the housing and food section of this. Again, if you do have questions that pop up after, you're welcome to contact your admissions counselor. So the next category is involvement, being involved, all that good stuff. First question, have any of you done study abroad?
Lexi and I went on the same trip last year. We went to Latvia and Estonia with the symphonic and jazz bands. And that was right after the spring semester ended last year. So it wasn't technically study abroad, but we were still able to get scholarships, grant money to go. And yeah, it was super fun. And I know, Lexi, you enjoyed that trip too. So
I can say I do want to study abroad, and if we do go back to campus, I hope we do, because I really want to study abroad. I have done study abroad in high school and during college, as we've done. I went to Estonia and Latvia, and in high school I went to Germany for a whole month, which is fun. But for like here programs, we have Spain, South Korea, Japan, China, Germany. I know there's one in Scotland, which is a big one for our school, but we have a lot of scholarships and programs. You can go for the whole year, your term here, or you can go for half a year, half of the term for just the term, or you can go for the summer. It's really, really fun. If you have the time, go for it. A lot of our classes are online, so you can go over, study abroad, take some classes there, and take your classes you need for your major. It just get out there, have fun. I love studying abroad. I love it. I want to travel more.
With that, what would you have liked to know before going?
Know your food. If you have any allergic reactions or you have anything, a lot of like us going to Estonia, Latvia, Germany. I know in high school, Germany, I'm not a big bread eater. I don't really like bread. So like I know Germany is a big bread eating country. They love baking. They all love that. And then I know for like China, South Korea, it's like whatever country you see what their main food are. Is it something you're gonna like, what you're not gonna like? Milk can be different, yogurt could be different. Gotta know what your body, probably your first day, I know, since we all like us living in the United States, our bodies are used to, like if you're an international student, our bodies used to the rich food here. If you go to Estonia, like Europe area, they're less rich of food. They're creamy. I love it. But like some food area countries, they're not that type of food. So your body kind of like, you may be sick the first day you're there or something. So like your body just has to get used to it. But then after that, you start loving food.
yeah, and usually before you go, someone from the Office of International Affairs will, I know because we had a class in like specifically for our trip that all of us had to take, and someone from the Office of International Affairs came in and talked to us about like, you know, this is what you're going to experience at the airport with like your passport, identification, security, all of that. So that's really good to know. And they're also going to talk a little bit about like cultural shock that usually happens when someone goes for like a semester or a year. In our case, we were only there for 10 days and we were constantly going all over the place. So it was a little bit different, but you will get a lot of information when you decide to study abroad or travel through the school. So usually you'll know everything that you should before you go.
It's nice knowing the language a little bit, just some common words like hello, bonjour, yeah, just all that stuff. So they can understand that you are a foreign student or something, just to let you know that you are learning their stuff, culture. So it's living in the United States is different than living across the world.
Great. So then, how do you get a job? And is it hard to maintain a job while attending school?
I think I can answer this one because I have 3 on-campus jobs. So I have this one. As I said before, I'm an RA, but I'm also a student worker in IT. And while it's a lot, you can adapt to it, and your supervisors are going to be very, like, they know you're a student first, and they actually want you to put your academics ahead of your job. So if you need something like, hey, I have this really big exam on Thursday and I can't swing the shift, they'll be okay. For getting a job off campus, it can be difficult sometimes to, you need to tell your supervisor, hey, I have class at this time, you can't schedule me then, and I also need this time for transportation. But on campus, jobs are a good place to start, and we do have a website through UWS and it's called Handshake, and they actually do have all of the on-campus jobs listed as well as some jobs around the area, and they can also help you find a job after graduation anywhere in the country that pertains to your major and what degree you got. So we do have a lot of resources.
Okay. We're going to combine a few just for time's sake. We do have 2 more categories we want to get through. So in regards to student organizations, clubs, how do you get involved in them? How do you start them? And yeah, okay, that's it. Yeah.
Danica.
I am currently the president of a club on camp. Well, we're not officially on campus right now, but I'm the president of our Residence Hall Association. And how to get involved with clubs, it's super easy. At the beginning of each semester, we have this like big event where pretty much all of the clubs come out. They put a table up. They have a whole bunch of information. They're there. You can swing by, ask them about who they are, what they do, you know, what they stand for, that type of thing. And super easy to get involved through there. Jacket Hub is another great way. Kendra mentioned that just a moment ago with jobs. All of our student organizations are on there as well. So if you ever wanted to look through like what's actually on campus, you can go there and see the full list. You can see their mission statements, and you can contact them and ask them questions and all sorts of stuff. And to start a club, I personally haven't, but it's not too difficult. I know that you just need 4 students to form a board, and then you just need 1 staff member who will act as the advisor. And then you have a club. And then you can try to gain student interest and gain more members. So it's not too difficult from what I understand anyways.
Yeah, and a lot of clubs that we have are actually like major specific. So like Students of Science is a big one. For me, I'm a member of our jazz organization, National Band Association, as well as the National Association for Music Educators. And we actually do a lot of trips. So check with your major, see what kind of clubs and orgs that they have.
Okay, 2 kind of weekend questions. 1, is there a family weekend? And 2, what do students that stay for the weekends do for fun?
So there is a family weekend. I believe it's first semester every year, if I'm not mistaken. And it's pretty cool the way you bring in a bunch of different activities that you can participate in with your family. If your family doesn't come up, that's totally fine. You can still participate too. I know that we typically give away free food during that event too. I think we had cotton candy as one of the options last year. And that's free for students. Even if your family is not there, you can still go and have fun and just mess around. And as for the weekend, because I live almost 6 hours away from campus, I'm typically on campus all the time. I don't really leave the area that much. And there's a variety of things that you can do. A bunch of clubs and organizations on campus try to plan out with each other's calendars and schedules, so we don't have all of our events on a Tuesday. So we do have quite a few that land over the weekends, so you have something to do. There's always Duluth across the bridge too, if you wanted to go see a movie, go shopping, or go out to eat in a restaurant that's not in Superior. You have those options as well. Otherwise, you can stay in. There's TVs on every floor in every res hall. So if you wanted to watch a movie, you could put a movie on the TV and just eat popcorn and watch that or something. You could play games. There's board games at every res hall too that are free for students. So there's a bunch of stuff that we can do on campus over the weekends besides studying.
You said everything, Danica.
Perfect. Kendra, add anything?
I mean, I'm not an outdoors person at all. I would rather be in the mall. The Miller Hill Mall is like, I'm there at least 3 times a week just looking around. And if I don't get anything, I'll go to the chocolate shop. But also downtown Duluth has a lot of really great stores. Like the Electric Fetus is this record shop, and it's just like stepping into the 60s, and I love it. But Duluth is great. If you like the outdoors, I would talk to someone that likes the outdoors. They know
I'll do it.
everywhere to go.
I am an outdoors person, and there is a lot of hiking trails in upper Duluth area and Superior area. I know I went kayaking my freshman year, flipped a kayak. I thought I broke my foot, just scraped it really, really badly. But it's fun. It depends on the weather too. Up north, it gets to rain a lot, snows a lot, so maybe it's not. You have to watch the weather. You gotta watch the rivers, the hiking trails. Everything is up to date, and there's also club which you can join on campus where they do events every weekend for a small fee for students or free, where they can go hiking, kayaking, skiing, snowboarding when the weather is nice and actually works for you.
Perfect. Yes, I think Superior is the epitome of, if you're outdoorsy, you will be in heaven, but if you're not, you'll survive, and there's a lot going on. Because yeah, I hear the word hiking and I check out. So
Yeah, I'm a hiking person.
right. So yeah. So last question in this category that I'm going to actually answer, because it's from a student who's participating in athletics. So I asked one of the coaches their answer to this, and the question was, if you play a sport and have a game, are those games during school hours, and if yes, how many days do you get to turn in your homework? So the expectation here, NCAA Division III athletics, is that if you have practice during class time, you miss practice and make it to what you can. So if if practice is 2 hours long but your class is only an hour and you can make it to the last hour, that's what you do. If you have a game during class time, you communicate with your professor and you miss class. It is the student athlete's responsibility to arrange their sports schedule with the professor's expectations. Most assignments are turned in electronically, so most professors have a no exception rule where you should be able to turn in homework regardless of the situation. But no matter what, the biggest thing to take from this is to closely work with your coaches and your faculty about those expectations. So with that, Emily will take over with the next category.
Perfect. So classes and academics. The first question is, so for education majors, at what point do you begin student teaching, and do you have a choice for which school you do the student teaching at?
Okay, I can answer that question. For the first part, it's mostly your last term of like your senior year. When you're in student teach, you have to take the fort exam, and then you also have to take our state exam for teachers. You have to have those done before you can student teach. And then for student teaching, where your location, you do not get a choice of where you go. They mostly say this, like, depending on where you are, you do get like a location of where you can pick, kind of location where the schools are, but they pick for you. You don't really have a choice of placement for student teaching.
Perfect. Is it easy to branch out and try different classes, or do you have to stick with the classes that are in your major?
I didn't
Answer.
catch all that, Emily, sorry.
Yeah, so are you able to try a bunch of different classes, or do you mainly have to stick to the classes in your major?
Okay, I'll go. Mostly you can, your first 2 years at campus, it's like your high school, you required to take classes. I'm sorry, it's been out of school for so long, I keep forgetting words. Core classes, they're not your major, but you are required to take them. So like your high school classes, your science class, your math class, your English class, you are required to take those before you go into your major classes. And then mostly a lot of us we are a little school, so you are required to take like an art class, a music class. And mostly a lot of those classes are fun. I could say for me, like Kendra, we're both in band. I am not a music major, and I'm majoring in elementary education, but I'm in the band, and I'm allowed to join and it's fun. You get to meet music people, music majors, get to know them, go on trips, get to know them. Danica, you had your hand up.
Yeah. So unless your schedule is jam-packed with classes that you have to take at very specific times during very specific semesters, like me, in order to graduate on time, you do have more flexibility with your schedule. So you can take more classes that you're interested in to meet those core requirements. So it's not like for history, I have to take history 101. You can take history 101 to 11. There's a variety of courses that will meet the requirements that you can choose from. So there are those options. So unless you're like me, you have a little bit of flexibility with your schedule.
So going off the schedule, how long did it take you to adapt to a college schedule and college rigor of courses?
Not long at all. Unless you're like a student like high school, you're so used to that schedule that like a little change throws you off. Then it maybe take you a while. But for me, the first day I had classes, it was kind of getting used to not having, I have class at 8. That's the earliest class we have. There is one earlier class, but most of our classes start at 9. There's some early classes at 8. But if you do take one class at 8 and then you're not classing until 2, it's kind of like, what should I do between that time, your first time you're here on campus? It's kind of like, I'm free. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You're not like your high school schedule. So that kind of threw me off my first year here. It's just, but after a while, you get used to it. It's like, I can go to the cafeteria. I can go back to the res hall, do homework, just hang out, meet people with friends, enjoy campus life until your next class.
Just to add on to that real quick, I swear I'll be fast. I think the biggest thing that students typically struggle with from what I've seen in my past couple of years, I'm not an RA yet. I will be next year, but from what I've seen from my peers, especially from the freshmen that are on campus, it's hardest to adapt to the freedom that you're given. You don't have parents nagging on you. You don't have teachers nagging on you and reminding you to do things. You have to do them yourself, and you have to remember to do them. Otherwise, you're not going to get the grades that you want, or you're going to have a pile of dirty laundry sitting in your closet for 4 weeks.
I agree.
So how do you feel that the classes that you're taking are appropriately challenging? And do you think UW Superior is preparing you well to get a job after college?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in music courses, and of course, I finished all of my liberal arts and gen eds before I even came to UWS, so I don't have any classes that aren't music. So, and usually your academic advisor in your department is going to put you in classes that are going to be very good for you. I'm in 300 level classes, and I have been ever since my freshman year, and they are really difficult, but you get through them, and they're very beneficial to your career after you finish at UWS. So that's all I have to say about that one for me. Of course, you two have different experiences than me, so.
Danica, you want to go? You look like you have that face.
So for my 3 majors, I have 2 completely different fields of professors that I work with. And my writing professors, they're super nice. All the professors that I've had really push you to do your best and help you succeed. And they will try to do what they can to help you, but you have to take that initial step first. You have to take that responsibility to say, I need help, and ask for it. But they do want to help you. But my writing professors, even after I'm in the class or even during the class, if they see something in my writing that isn't part of the course criteria itself, I just took a 300 level RIT course, and it wasn't even part of the grading rubric, but my professor pointed out all these things that I can improve upon, but I still got full credit for everything. So I think it just depends on what your major is and your professors personally. Because if they know you, they will try to push you a little bit more, even if it's already a 300 level course. If they know that you can do better, if they know that you can improve even more, they're going to push you to do so.
And if they notice you're struggling, they're going to talk to you and be like, hey, what's going on? Because our classes are very small, and so they know you by name. And if they notice you're not in class for 3 days in a row, they're going to be emailing you saying, hey, what's going on? We got to talk.
But
And if
don't
you
use
have
that
it-
as a fallback, guys.
No.
No.
Don't use it as a fallback. Don't just disappear from the face of the earth for a week and expect your professors to email you. You need to take that responsibility first.
They're always helpful, especially the second term started in January. I got sick with the flu. I went to school the first day with classes feeling sick, fine. And the second day of classes, I was in bed, exhausted. And I emailed all my professors, and they all knew back saying, "Oh, get well. Hope to see you in class." They were the best. Like, I felt like my parents were up here helping me. They knew what I needed to get done. They said if I do not feeling better, it can be light-handed and late. They know that you're sick, and they're always helpful. Don't be afraid of them. They may look like, oh, I shouldn't go talk to them, or like, I am afraid of them. Go talk to them. They're always helpful. And a lot of them, I know for a lot of science majors, not science majors, hi David, science teachers, they email you saying, can you come see me? A lot of them, when they say come see me, they're just like, oh, you did really well. They really wanted to see you face to face and say, you did really well, and be like praise for you. It's, yeah.
And then, what are the 3 most important things that you should bring to class with you?
Danica.
A notebook, because you need to take notes. It really depends on classes, but I don't know how it is for music or TED Ed, but specifically science and writing, you're going to need to take notes during lecture to fully understand what's going on. So you need to have a notebook with you. Having a pencil to write with too, that's pretty essential. And then an eraser in case you make a mistake. Or the professor changes something on the board. For me, those are the top 3 things that I make sure I take with me everywhere I go, almost everywhere I go. But anytime I'm going to a class, I double check that I have those 3 things before I leave my room.
I agree with Danica. Always bring a notebook, mostly like on your first day of classes, or like if you have classes. Our classes are mostly, our bigger classes are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then mostly our next Tuesday and Thursdays are hour and 15-minute classes. So if you have your classes mostly on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, always bring a notebook or folder the first couple of days. And it's like, oh, I don't really need, this is not a class for a notebook. You don't have to bring them, but just in case you do, bring them the first couple of days. A lot of professors say also too, we're not gonna be taking notes in this class. So it's just, they'll tell you. And then I have my pencil case with me. That's like my number one thing I am afraid of losing. It has all my stuff in it that I need for pencils, pens, erasers. And honestly, I bring that everywhere I go.
Like Danica said, it depends on the class. I know a lot of people like to bring their laptops to class to take notes, and a lot of professors are totally fine with that. Definitely bring a pencil. It depends on what class you're in, because music majors, we don't really use notebooks. We use staff paper, but bring your textbooks if you do a lot of like reading in class. So it just really depends on the class. After your first day or 2, you know exactly what you need to bring to that class.
Yeah, and your first day or 2, you don't necessarily need to bring your textbooks with you because it's just going over the syllabus and getting to know the professor. But right off the bat, they'll tell you if you need to bring your textbook with you or not. So then you can be prepared.
And a lot of the textbooks, don't buy them right away. A lot of our professors may not even use the textbook. They just put it in for requirements for you to use if you do need them. We do have a library that has the books. I know some of our books aren't in there for us to use. And we also have our supply store on campus in the YU, where you can go buy your books. You can also get them on Amazon or stuff, but just wait to see if you actually really need the textbook.
Perfect. So you've sort of answered this, but can you talk more about professors? Are they approachable? Is it more lecture style, hands-on experiences? What do you think?
It depends on your major too. For like science majors and music majors and me, science majors do a lot more hands-on stuff. They go on field trips. They do a lot more things. And then I don't know for music majors, but like they probably do more music stuff. For TED stuff, your first I'm sorry, I know. I'll have you talk, Andrew. But for like my class or education, my first couple of classes are mostly lecture. They talk to you, we do stuff. And then more when I get into my upper classes, I know my 300, 400 level classes, I'll be more going to schools in the area, Duluth, Superior area, getting hands-on hands with students, planning lessons, doing stuff with students in the classroom. So it depends on your major.
Yeah, for music, we only have about 8 full-time professors, so you're going to have the same professors quite a few times. For me, one of my professors, we always go on TV in February to promote the swing dance, which is super fun. And so one day I was at Quick Trip and the professor saw me and he's like, "Hey, do you want to go on TV with me in a couple weeks?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I want to go on TV." But the professors are there to help you, and they are going to help you get to your end goal, no matter what that is.
They're nice. Don't be afraid. They're funny. As like Kendra said, you'll see them in public. Crib Trip. We have a Crib Trip not that far, like Cox Campus. You'll see them in Crib Trip. I know one of my TED teachers, she always goes there to get her coffee, donut. Sometimes I don't go. I'll see mama professors. They're all friendly people. You get to know them on a personal level, figure out what they're doing. They're always here to help you to get in your career in the near future.
Thank you. Is there a certain computer that's most compatible with programs at UWS? Yeah.
Yeah.
Kendra, Danica.
I work in IT, and I'm going to tell you this. If you ever have computer troubles, Windows is going to be very easy for us personally. We do know how to deal with Mac and Chromebooks, but for me, our school uses Windows on its own computers. So think about a Windows computer. I personally have a Lenovo, and it's lasted me for a really long time, and it still works great. Lenovos are fantastic. But definitely if you're like on the fence between Mac, Chrome, or Windows, I'd go with Windows.
Yeah, some of the professors will. Oh,
You can go, Danica.
some of the professors will sometimes post stuff. They've done it for my science classes, and we have to download them in a very specific format. And I've known people who had MacBooks, but they had to download an entire additional software in order to be able to even view that document. So I do think Windows works quite a bit better because the professors are better prepared for Windows. It's what they use on their computers. It's what they prepare their lessons for and their documents on. It doesn't mean that you can't have a Mac. There are several students that do, and it works just fine. There's just a couple extra steps that you have to do sometimes, not all the time.
My campus does allow us to use Microsoft, so you can download on Mac. You can download Microsoft onto a Mac computer, or you can use Google Docs. You can use that, but a lot of us, probably all 3 of us, don't have a Windows computer that we like because it was cheaper and not expensive as Apple, but it's your computer. We also have every building on campus has a computer lab for you to use. Swanson is open 24 hours. If you took a tour with us during the school year when we were on campus, Swanson for us is open for us 24 hours. It does lock down during the night for safety reasons, but you can call campus safety, show your student ID, and you can walk into the computer lab and use it to finish what you're typing up. It's all for you to use.
How much printing money do you get every semester? Yeah.
So you get $30 in printing per semester. And I know that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but every page that you print single-sided black and white is only 10 cents. So unless you're printing, if I'm doing the math right, 3,000 single-page black and white pages, you're not gonna run out. I've only heard of a few people almost running out, and that was, yeah, Lexi, because they kept printing flyers and flyers and flyers to decorate our floor with for Halloween. But otherwise, you shouldn't run out. And if for whatever reason you do, say you print a lot of stuff in color,
You come talk to me.
yeah, you can add on to that printing amount. So you will never not be able to print unless you can't get more money into your printing account.
Perfect. So you don't need to bring a printer if they don't have
No.
to.
Nope, there's a printer in every res hall or in every building with a computer lab. There's even several, if not most of them, that also have a scanner. So if you need to scan a document and upload it, we do have those facilities for you to use for free as well.
Perfect. Okay, so last question in this section is, what do students typically do in between classes?
A
Hang out
lot
with
of our
friends.
buildings have
I
like
think,
lounges.
yeah,
So like
It depends.
the music department has a lounge. Music majors are in there constantly in between classes. Otherwise, the YU is usually pretty busy at the lunch hour.
It depends on your major, because being friends with some music majors, you never see them in the day unless they go out for lunch.
Yep.
And that's when I see Kendra.
Yep,
But it's
and we're always at
mostly-
Sono.
Yep. It depends on what, like my schedule this past term, I didn't get to see a lot of my friends because their class, when I had my break, they had classes. But a lot of my friends, some of my friends had classes with me, so I got to hang out. Most of all of us just hang out in the YU's once and just relax, do homework, live in the freshman dorm, the freshman res halls. A lot of them, I know last year, probably for me and Danica, we walked back to the res halls and did homework between that break because it was easier. You can take stuff out of your backpack that was heavy, leave it in your res hall room, relax, do homework, eat.
yeah. I know that a lot of students like to walk back to the rest hall if they have really long breaks that are like 2 hours or more, or if they get done at noon for classes, instead of staying in the YU for the rest of the day or something like that. There's quite a few that'll actually walk back to the rest hall during that time period, so they can eat the food that they have in their room and study in a quieter place. There is a library on campus too, so if you need a quiet place to study, there are study rooms.
Mhm.
Is that all for academic? Yep, okay. So last section, are you three good to stay for about 6 more? Okay.
Yeah.
And those of you here watching, if you do need to leave, that's okay. Please know that you can view this recording tomorrow, and you can just fast forward to this part for what you missed. So now it's like our other category, so questions that didn't fit into those 3 areas and some that have come through on the chat. So first one, dorm rooms, so kind of backtracking. Are the residence halls locked? Are the residence rooms locked?
Kendra's got this one.
Yeah. Okay, so all of our res halls are only accessible by fob, and you'll be getting a fob when you come here. And the fobs will get you into your building as well as your bathroom. If you live in Ross Hawks or Crown Heart, they all have singular bathrooms that I'm not exactly sure. You need a fob to get in those, right?
No,
Yeah.
no.
No. Okay.
Not
So
the
the bathrooms
bathroom.
in Ross Hawks, actually have a deadbolt that you just lock from the inside.
Oh,
You
okay.
don't need a fob to get into there or anything. And they're gender neutral.
Yeah.
And it's a full bathroom, essentially, in each stall. There's like 10 bathrooms on each floor for each
Yeah.
Ross House. So
Yeah, and if you live in CMO, which is freshman, we have like bathrooms that are gender specific. So women's bathroom with 5 stalls, 3 showers, same for the men's. And you can only get into the bathroom that your fob is specified for. And then for your rooms, it's different in Ross Hawks because you actually have to use your student ID to get into those rooms. But if you live in Crown Heart, CMO, you actually have a key, and it's your choice to lock your room. I know Ostrander has some issues with locking by itself, but CMO, you actually have to turn the lock when you leave your room. So yeah, otherwise you have a key, you have a fob, and no one's going to get in there unless someone lets them in, but they shouldn't. Danica.
Be smart.
one thing I'm going to add about bathrooms, I work with RHA, so I get some requests for housing for students to move from Crown Heart or Kern McNeil and Ostrander over to Ross Hawks because of the bathrooms. If you identify in the community and aren't comfortable using the bathrooms that are gender specific, if you're non-binary, transgender, whatever it might be, you can send in a request to change halls, and it's a whole form, and you can fill out the reasons for why you want to move. And if it's a legitimate reason, and I will say in many cases where people are requesting to move because they are part of the community and they're just not comfortable in that residence hall that they're living in because of the gender specific bathrooms, we will move them over to Ross Hawks for the same price. We've done that a few times in the past. So that is an option. If you do identify or aren't comfortable using gender specific bathrooms, you can ask to move rest halls, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. It is an official form that you have to fill out, but it's an option.
Okay. Laptops. Need them? Yes, no, recommend them? Go.
For me personally, I definitely needed my laptop because I am constantly on like different score writing software and stuff like that. You can survive college without a laptop because we do have computer labs, as mentioned before, in every building. And yeah, otherwise, like if your laptop does have problems, the school is not really equipped to fix it, and you're going to have to take it to like Discover PC or something. That happened to me. My laptop fell off a music stand and broke the screen. That was not fun. But laptops, if you absolutely want one, then that's your choice, but you can survive without a laptop.
It depends what you want. If you're a video gamer, sports watcher, you gotta watch your sports when they're on. Mostly depends with you. For me, emails are a lot more easier on my computer than on my phone. They're a lot more easier. Sometimes my emails don't even pop on my phone, or the message doesn't pop up. So it mostly depends on what you want. Can you live without it? Can you not? It's your choice.
What are some must-haves that you wish you would have thought of for freshman year?
Ooh,
Hot pads.
Yeah, that's
Hot
true.
pads.
Said
deep
that.
thinking. HDMI cord. It's mostly if you want to watch Netflix with a group of friends. HDMI cord. That's a must-have because you can connect your computer up to the TV in the lounge. Perfect when you're bored, especially people if you live far away. Perfect thing to do on the weekend, especially during finals too. Gives you something to watch, do stuff.
For me, one of the things that I wish I had right off the bat as a freshman is a plant. I love having plants in my res room. It just seems to make it a little bit brighter, a little bit nicer, more friendly and inviting. Kind of. That's something that I wish I had right off the bat as a freshman. Um, but if you don't like plants, you certainly don't have to have one in your room. It's just a preference.
I can say posters, pictures. I had that when I came up because I was the only one from my hometown area going up to Superior. I have another one coming up. I'm excited. I know him, so I won't be the only one. But it was kind of, I didn't know anybody. I only knew my roommate. It was kind of scary and not having my friends. Seeing them helped me a lot through pictures. I knew I called my parents a lot the first couple of weeks. I was living on my own. It hurt like your first day after your parents leave when you move up here. You kind of start having that feeling of, oh, I'm actually living on my own for most of the year. So it kind of hits you, but having people, seeing your friends, having a picture of your family, it helped me. Social depends on you, your favorite artist, player. It just brings stuff to the room, makes you feel homey. There we go.
So I think you've alluded to this question with a lot of your statements, but if there's anything else you would add to what they should expect from their first year of college.
Don't expect what you see in movies and TV shows, because a lot of that stuff is false. It's definitely not how things are typically run, especially in a res hall. While there are party colleges, UW Superior is not one of them. So you're not going to see extravagant fraternity parties that are going out into the lawn and people are like falling over each other and everything. It doesn't really happen. So it's basically a more mature, more freedom-giving version of high school, away from your family. I know that makes it sound kind of bad, but it is quite different from what you see in your typical movies and TV shows. So I wouldn't come into college expecting exactly that. I would keep your mind open.
And homesickness, if you don't live, like me and Danica live 5-6 hours away, homesickness does hit you. I don't really get homesickness, but it does hit you the first couple of weeks. You feel like, oh, I'm not having my regular food, home cooked food. You're seeing your siblings, if you have any, seeing your parents, your pets, your animals. It hits you. Always, you can talk to people, friends. We have counselors here. Our school is open for you coming here. We're always here to help you. If you see us, you can talk to us. We can help you get the plan through the year, what we did to help us through the school year.
Yeah, a lot of students, especially my freshman year, I actually talked to some upperclassmen. I came into college, no friends. I didn't know anybody. And right off the bat, I was homesick. I hadn't lived away from my family really for an extended period of time. But coming into college, just know that if you need to talk to somebody, or if you even just need to sit next to somebody during lunch so you feel less alone, all you have to do is look in the cafeteria in the YU, because there are tons of people there, and especially the upperclassmen. We understand what it's like to be freshmen. We understand what it's like to move away from your family for the first time. So if you just need to sit in silence, even if we don't know you, at least me personally, I will just sit next to you. If you just need to sit in silence and just have somebody next to you, I'm more than willing to just sit next to you. I can work on something else or whatever you need. We, as students, we have a very tight-knit community, and if we need help, we can turn to each other.
I think that went really well for the next question, unless there's something for you to add of the easiest way to make friends. So that, the student organizations, your residence hall, your major, anything else you three would add on that factor?
Me and Danica met on the floor. We have a really weird story how we met. So I'll do a quick story. I bought a chair. The chair came in a box, so it was out of Castle. freshman being out of high school, you have that freedom. It's really weird. Had fun. Me and my roommate Maddie, we made the castle, and then we made swords. And then Danica came out. That's how we met. And just get to know people, your classes, weird stories, weird meetings, making a castle, snow fight.
Yeah, just I am a very introverted person. I can come across as extrovert sometimes, but for me, the best suggestion I have for making friends in college is to not be intimidated by how they look. And I know that that's so easy to say, but especially if they live on your floor in your rest hall, just talk to them. Just walk up and be like, hey, I'm so-and-so, like, do you want to hang out? Just ask them. Most people are either going to turn you down very nicely or say yes.
Yeah. I mean, as an RA, I mean, of course I lived the freshman experience, but then I kind of witnessed it with a whole new group of people. And like, there was just this one group of people on my floor, and there was like 9 or 10 of them. And they just kind of started hanging out, and they all became very good friends. And they would always ask me when I would come by, they're like, oh my gosh, it's the RA. Do you want to play Cards Against Humanity with us? And I'm like, yes. But something that you will probably hear about is the W curve. And that's just kind of a thing that will happen. It happens to everyone in different ways. I know it definitely happened for me. And I think the best thing you can do is just know what's coming and know how to deal with it, because usually after you're done with winter break and you come back for your spring semester, you kind of realize, you know, it's not as great as being home. And some people it hits harder than others. You just need to know how to deal with it. But otherwise, like making friends, like I made friends very easily within my major. One of my closest friends, he's also an RA. We actually went to camp together when we were like 12 and 13 years old. And we were like, oh yeah, we went to camp together, and now we're really good friends. So, and of course, you'll make friends somehow, some way.
Sometimes you make friends just with a person walking up saying hi. Your first couple weeks, like the first day of freshman orientation, you talk, you say the same thing over and over again. You repeat it like probably 100 times, saying what your major is, where you're from, what's your name. But like after that, you get to know people, get to hang out with them. You'll see them in classes, see them out on campus, groups, organizations. And if you don't find one, you can find us. We'll always hang out with you. Talk.
That's perfect. So we have about 3 questions left. First one, kind of a 2-parter. What is the most popular place on campus, and how is the environment at the school?
I think the YU is definitely the YU and
Yeah.
Swenson. The YU at between noon and 1 is crazy.
Don't go. That's my advice. Don't go.
I mean, unless you're one of those
Typically
people.
the lunch rush, yeah.
The
Have a
lunch
class.
rush is crazy. But yeah, and then Swenson, like in between, because we only have 10 minutes in between classes. So like between 1:50 and 2 o'clock, that was always the time I was going to work at Swenson. It's crazy in there. But the environment on campus is just like, you know, everyone's in the same thing. We're all going through the same stuff. And it's just very calm.
We don't have our high school stereotypes at college. We don't have that here. Don't watch any movies. We do not have that. No.
Revenge of the Nerds is not accurate.
No.
No.
We have your sports people and stuff, and then like your smart people, but like we help each other. We're not like, oh, that's a jock, I shouldn't hang out with a nerd. It's like, no, a jock, and like I'm gonna just say a jock and a nerd, you can see them hanging out with each other, doing homework, doing projects, we don't look at that at all. We're all friends. We get to know each other. Majors. We're all going, like Kendra said, we're all going through the same thing. We're all going through school for our future jobs.
Best way to get around town.
Carpool.
Yeah, carpool's good. Carpool's good.
my idea.
Unless it's a really nice day out and you're just going to a quick trip or something. Because there are
Oh,
a few restaurants that are super close to campus. Burger King is right on the corner of Subway. It's like not even a 5-minute walk away from the YU. So I think it depends on where you're going. Because if you're going over to Duluth on a weekend, I would definitely recommend trying to carpool because the DTA on Sundays is a little weird. Their schedule gets funky with their hours and when they pick up at the mall and stuff. But I think it really depends on where you're going because if you can walk, I strongly recommend walking. It's a nice way to save gas, help the environment, and then also get a good exercise in because that's definitely something that I feel a lot of college students like myself tend to forget about. Even
The
just
freshman
walking.
15 is real.
That is real.
It is. Freshman 15 is real. It's just, I think part of it is just getting used to the fact that you have this freedom now and everything's so close that you don't have to go far.
Do people bike a lot?
There
Yes.
are bike racks, and there are. If you bring a bike, I would strongly recommend bringing a lock, because there's always
one.
people out there with sticky fingers, so to speak. And I know that there's been a couple of cases where bikes have been stolen, then they turn up all the way across town. So bring a bike lock if you're planning on bringing a bike. I know that bikes work typically best when it's not snowing out and when we don't have ice. So probably fall semester for that or late spring semester. Late fall semester and early spring semester, we're going to have snow and ice on the ground. But otherwise, yeah, biking's a pretty good choice because Walmart's a 5-minute drive, so probably just a 10, 15-minute bike away.
We do
Yeah, and
have
if
a
you're
long
going to
period.
Duluth, if you're going to go to Duluth, get someone who can drive in Duluth because I'll tell you, it takes a while to get used to. And once you do, it's super easy, but the first few times, get someone who can drive in Duluth. The hills are, they're bad.
Or you come up with your parents up here when you move in, drive to Duluth, figure out what area is, how do you do it. We have 2 bridges that go over to Duluth. One's a little bit farther that goes outside Duluth. The other one's our little bridge. That's the farther one out. And then there's Big Bridge. A lot of us don't drive over that during the winter because it's scary. You may go over, but it depends. They always salt and ice that one really, really well. I've been on it. Had to go there at 5 o'clock in the morning. Done it. But Duluth people they're always nice. They salt the roads as well. Just we know that in the near future, construction is happening over there soon during that bridge on the Big Bridge area. So that's going to be a lot of traffic. And then I learned today that they're updating their downtown too with roads and stuff, changing
Downtown's
it.
a constant update.
Yeah, there's some in Duluth. There's only one street. I have that a lot in my town, so I'm kind of used to that. But depends on where you're from. If you're from a small town, a city, it just depends on Google Maps. That's your friend.
Perfect. So I have one more question and then Emily will pop on with one more final question to wrap up. If you do have other questions, all of you out there, please hold on, just hold on to them for now, and then you can reach out to your admissions counselor to ask them, or hold it if you wish, and because your SOAR date that you will be coming to, your summer orientation, there will be a student panel at that as well that you can ask the questions at if you didn't get them answered today. So my last question is there anything you regret doing or not doing as a freshman? Yeah, that was
Well, I can say drive less, but when there's snow, do move your car. Do go like just for a midnight drive or somewhere to get your car out of the snow, because you do need to move your car. If not, I could tell you a lot of our cars, when they tell you to move your car when plowing, move it, please move it, because our parking areas become horrible because people don't move their cars. That's one regret I could say I hate for most students. It's not my regret. I always move my car. I always listen. But that's advice I would give to incoming freshmen is please move your car. Go for a ride. If you feel stressed, go for a midnight drive. Go for a drive in Duluth area. I have a drive where I go through a highway up to where you go to Canada. I just turn around and go back, stay on the highway, go up Duluth, or just drive around Superior. It's just fun.
Yeah, definitely move your car, because I have been stuck both years, and I had to have a friend come and push my minivan out last year, and then I was actually able to shovel my car out this year. But definitely move your cars. If you can't avoid it, like when we got dumped on this last year, have a shovel in the back of your car. That's the best thing you can have.
So one thing that I definitely don't regret is not having a car up here freshman year. For me, having a car is a temptation to always want to go somewhere. But not having it freshman year really allowed me to solidify my studying schedule. So I knew, I planned, okay, I can't go anywhere, even though I have a car this year, because I need to do this. And it's just the mindset that was ingrained freshman year because I didn't have a car. So I couldn't really go as far. Like if I couldn't really walk there, I wasn't really going there. But that's definitely something that I don't regret. I think it's a good idea for some students to not have a car freshman year, because I think it helps train minds that, oh yeah, we actually have to study. We can't just go drive around Duluth for 5 hours. So.
I could say I'm the opposite. I had a car up my freshman year. I have Danica's taxi. But like for me, I don't really like driving unless I'm stressed out. I just want to get out of the dorms, because there is a point where like I'm sick of the res halls. You need to get out. Plus some days it was really, really cold out where we couldn't really go anywhere or go outside, or unless we got frostbite. So like just driving around was fun. But it's the same point, like I don't like driving, so most of my keys always hang down in my room, just sat there. I sometimes forgot I even had a car, and when it did snow, sometimes I forgot to move it. It's your own mind, just what you want to do and stuff.
Perfect, thank you. So one last question. Do you have any last minute advice, encouragement for incoming freshmen? You each want to answer this one.
Don't be afraid to push yourself outside your box. We all have our set norms and what we're comfortable with, but don't be afraid to kind of try and push those boundaries and step outside, step over that line a little bit, because that's when you meet people that you typically wouldn't meet. And that's when you make really close friends. Like with the cardboard swords and castle. That's how I met Lexi, and we are really close friends, and we have been ever since. And that was because I stepped over my line. So just try pushing your boundaries a little bit, not too much. Don't stress yourself over it. Don't like force yourself, oh, I gotta be an extrovert when I'm an introvert. Don't do that. That's not healthy. But if you push yourself a little bit, you'll make new friends.
Mm-hmm.
Time management is key. I was so bad with time management my freshman year, and I would just get so stressed out, and I was much better with it my second year. And also don't don't miss calls from your parents, and make sure you stay in touch with them, because honestly, I am very close with my parents and I talk to them almost every week when I'm not at home like I am now. And they want to know what you're up to. They want to know what you're doing. They want to make sure you're okay. And don't be afraid to, say hi to your friend from high school from back home, because they're probably wondering about you too. So just make sure that you form new connections while in college, but don't always cut the last ties that you have before you did go to college. That would be my advice.
Always do your homework. As time management, for me, I use sticky notes. Sticky notes, I always have to have a must because I'll write out my homework that's due this week. I have a planner too that I have used since high school. It's not my planner. I always use the planner. Since high school. And it's always helped me. It depends on what you are, what you do homework, how you do it. A lot of us have calendars like, oh, this is what's due. A lot of our homework is due at midnight or right before midnight. A lot of our professors will post it or have schedules out saying this is what we're going to do a week. So make sure you stay on top of what's due and not due. You can always work, if it's on project, you can work on it, but always do what's due first. Don't do it last minute like probably all your high school teachers said. Don't. Just a no in college. It adds more stress on you. And you don't always have to have a job your first year of college. I didn't. I joined being a campus ambassador at the end of my freshman year. But for me, I had a job since I was 16, and I always worked and went to school. And then my freshman year of college, I didn't know what college was like, didn't know what my classes are going to be like, I didn't know what my homework load was going to be. So if you figure that out first, and if you want to do a job, you can do a job. You're not required to. Just see what your college life is first, and what your life is going to be for the next couple of months. And you can do what you want to do.
Well, thank you all for joining us. We recorded this, so it'll be available on our Facebook page. Let us know if you want us to send you the link directly. But we're going to have another question and answer session in August, right before move-in. So if you have any of those last minute questions, we'll be sending out an invite for that in July. And then just remember that if you want to get up and tour campus again before move-in, visits are going to start on June 8th. We just request that you give us a 48 hours heads up. But thank you again.
Thank you all. Have a great rest of your night.
See you in September.